Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Armchair Coaches. My name is Justin. Today is January 24th, and we just finished up the championship round. I'm here with my producer, Jordan. We're going to go over some of the news in the NFL right now. As you can see, I'm a Lions fan, so we're going to talk about the news in the Lions. We're also going to talk about the Bucs game, Tom Brady going to the Super Bowl again, and we're going to talk about some of the coaching hires around the league right now. So we'll start with the biggest thing for me, Matthew Stafford. What can I say? Being a Lions fan is I want to compare it to other franchises, but I can't because I don't know your experience. But for me, being a Lions fan there's an expectation we're going to lose. Every season I go into it, everyone goes, hey, how do you think the Lions are going to do? And I go, but we've never won anything. So why am I expecting to win something now? So the only thing every season I went into it with was we still have Matt Stafford. And at the end of the day, Matt Stafford can win games. He has 30 come from behind wins. And people want to say that's because he's always playing from behind. Yeah, he plays for a terrible franchise. He's a Lion. Dude, the guy gave us 12 seasons. He set 3 different records in passing yards. Fast as 20,000 yards, fast as 30,000 yards, fast as 40,000 yards. He's got 282 touchdowns. He's like 15th on the list. He's only 32 years old, and people want to thrash him and all this stuff, but I'll kind of get down to it. I'm very sad, but I also understand where Matt's coming from, and I totally respect his decision. So we're going to talk a little bit about where he might go. For me, I've actually been thinking about this for a few months because I had a feeling when we brought in the new coach, we brought in the new general manager, who I do like. We also brought in John Dorsey. It's a good hire. But after figuring this out, there's a few teams that could really use Stafford. And to be completely honest, I have no problem with him going there as long as they're winning. Obviously, it's not up to me, but San Francisco, Matthew Stafford and a Kyle Shanahan offense, dude, that defense is already set. You got some receivers. You got Debo. You got Brandon Ayuk. Your running game could use some work. Raheem was hurt all season, but that defense is solid. Kyle Shanahan is a really good offensive coach, and I think Stafford in that system would do so well. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback, but he looked good 2 years ago because Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing. I think in that offense, Stafford would thrive. Colts, I also see him going to the Colts. Frank Reich is a QB whisperer. And, you hear that a lot with some coaches that end up sucking, like Gase and, some of these other guys. But I believe that's true with Frank Reich. Look what happened when he left Wentz. And I'm not saying that Matthew Stafford needs this guy to, groom him and stuff, but he knows what he can do to help Stafford win games. That defense is good. You got T.Y. Hilton, you got Jack Doyle, you got Jonathan Taylor. You have some good pieces and a good coach. All you need is that quarterback. Phillip Rivers just retired. I think it's time to move on. From the Lions' perspective, for sure. Not that Matthew Stafford hasn't done a lot, but at this point, I just don't see. It's already going to happen. This trade's already going to happen. I just don't see him. There's any reason for him staying. So anyone that is sad and upset about this, you got to look at it from this angle. He's given everything he has in the city of Detroit. He stayed longer than Barry did. He stayed longer than Calvin did. He's the best quarterback we've ever had. He's a Pro Bowler. He's Matt Stafford, man. And, if I can say one thing to Matthew Stafford, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for doing everything you did. You hold, a special place in my heart. I'll never forget watching you in a Lions jersey, and I'll be the first one to buy your jersey when you get traded. I promise that. All right, guys. I just really hope he doesn't get traded to the Texans. If he goes to the Texans, unless we get Deshaun, I'll be devastated. That's a side note. What?
The Rams.
Dude, the Rams actually, I'd take off. I mean, what?
Over Stafford?
No, I wouldn't, but you know what I mean? Goff 26, and I don't know, maybe there's something there. I just don't see it with Goff, but I think McVay could do a lot with Stafford. I think the Rams would be good with Stafford, but and that cap hit is very similar. It's 32 versus 33, and I think Jared makes $1 million more. But thanks, Matt. We'll miss you. Let's talk about the coaching hires, which I'm stoked about. I'm actually really hyped. I don't know if you guys saw the Dan Campbell interview. Dan Campbell is a hype beast. He's a hype man. He looks like the Big Lebowski. His nameplate for his office literally says "the dude" on it. The guy walked in, and the cool thing about it was I really liked the fact that Dan Campbell came in. He's like, I'm not going to give you all this coach speak and all this bullshit. Sorry, excuse my language, in his press conference. And then just talks about how basically every time you beat the Lions, we're going to get up, and on our way up, we're going to bite your kneecap off, and then we're going to punch you in the face and all this stuff, which was hype. But I was thinking about it later, and he said, when we get pushed down, he said that like 5 times. How many seasons does he plan on going where we just get our asses kicked? Because he made it sound like it might be 5 seasons. He's like, and after you beat us down the 4th time, and I was like, wait, 4 times? Like, what do you mean 4 times? Like, a second season, I need some wins, man. I need 9-7 at the second season easily. But he's super hype guy. He brought in Aaron Glenn, who's the DB coach for the Saints. He was actually really highly sought after, which I think is great for the Lions. They get a good defensive coordinator, and the Saints had a really good D this year. I'm not a big fan of the buddy between them two, but we'll see how it goes. They also hired Anthony Lynn as the offensive coordinator, the former head coach of the Chargers. And the reason I really like that is he's a former head coach. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't a great head coach. I understand that. I get that he had game management issues. And I understand that, Anthony Lynn probably is going to take over and be a head coach. But having a rookie head coach and having someone that's had experience coaching a team is so beneficial for Dan Campbell, because there's things that he's not going to see. And from what all I can hear is that he's a player's coach and he's someone like that. But so is Anthony Lynn. And I think Anthony Lynn is also going to be able to help him in areas where Dan struggles. And that's something I'm looking forward to. So when we got that hire, I was super excited. I was super hyped because that was something I was scared of with Dan Campbell, is the fact that he doesn't have a lot of experience. We're going to move on to the funniest hire for me, Nick Sirianni. Sirianni? I'm sorry, it's Italian, and I love Italian last names, but I'm saying it wrong. But, dude, this guy was like a quality control coach for the Chiefs from 2009 to 2012. Then he was like a QB coach / quality control coach for 4 years on the Chargers. Then for the last 3 years, he was an okay offensive coordinator for the Colts, and now he's the head coach of the Eagles. He's now the head coach of the Eagles. He hasn't done anything. And that's my thing, is what did you see in Nick Sirianni or whatever? What did you see in him that you were like, no, you're like, okay, this is the guy that's going to take our team who has struggled with disorganization, ineptitude, bad decision-making, egos. This is the guy that's going to fix all that. Not only fix all that, get Carson Wentz to where he needs to be again, which I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback, but I guess not for Howie Roseman. But it seemed like a panic hire. I know Frank Reich was with the Eagles, and then you go hire Frank Reich, but Frank Reich's already from the Doug Peterson tree, and you just fired Doug Peterson for all these issues, but you're basically just trading one issue for another. I don't think any of these, and I could be totally wrong, but I just don't see Nick Sirianni being Doug Peterson taking them to the Super Bowl. I don't see that. And I could be totally wrong, but I don't think he did anything crazy. The Colts offense has never been great, in the last 3 years. We're going to move on to the coach that I really wanted for the Lions, Robert Saleh, who went to the Jets, which I'm extremely confident Robert Saleh. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think that now the NFL is going into speaking about mental health and accepting mental health and stuff. I think that players aren't going to take just this scream in your face, do what I tell you type of attitude. And I love that. I think Robert Saleh understands that, you don't work for me. We work together. We're a team. A coach is part of the team. He's not your boss. He's part of your team. He helps the team lead to victory. Yeah, he makes the decisions, but if he's not on the same page with you and he's not your guy and he's not someone you trust, you're not going to do anything. Joe Douglas apparently is making good decisions because the Jets have no idea what they're ever doing. Literally never. I think the owner was just do whatever, and they actually made a good decision. Robert Saleh is a really good hire. I heard that someone said that after the Robert Saleh hire that Deshaun Watson wants to go to the Jets. It's bullshit. It's the biggest BS I've ever heard in my life. Deshaun Watson, and I don't know any reports. I know zero. but I know for a fact Deshaun Watson does not want to go to the New York Jets. It's just like, it's like, why would that? People are like, oh, it's a big market. It's just a bunch of like BS and rumors that are being blown, but it's ridiculous. Robert Saleh is a hype guy. He's one of the most intense guys in the NFL. He's run a great defense, even with injuries. I think he's going to do a great job, and it's funny. It kind of sucks because it's fun to laugh at the Jets because the Jets are just so inept every year that it's just hilarious to watch them. It's absolutely fumbled through their own offseason season. But I think they'll end up being good in the next 2 or 3 years. We're going to talk about Arthur Smith, the most boring guy in the NFL. Dude, that guy looks like a pancake. Like, he's not like he's fat or anything like that. He's just like, I'm looking at him, and I was like, bro, you uninspire me. You uninspire me. And the way he was talking, giving his interviews and stuff like that, oh yeah, dude, we're gonna have him come in, we're gonna run play action, we're gonna throw the ball. It's like, dude, like, have some excitement, be hyped about the job you just took. Like, and you'd be like, well, Belichick's not like, and you're like, yeah, but you get all these coaches that think that just be straightforward, do the like the Patriots way, and he's not a Patriots guy, but like that like no emotion, like straightforward thinking. I just don't think it works. He might be a great coach. I know he's done great things for Ryan Tannehill, his resurgence. But I also think they relied heavily on play action and the fact that you have the best running back in the NFL. That helps. When you have a linebacker that catches balls like a receiver, jukes like a receiver, and runs like a running back, like, it makes it a lot easier for you to fake the handoff and then throw it because they buy that you're going to hand it off. A lot of teams that run play action do not have that running back they'll buy it off. They're like, you're not going to run that, you're going to throw it. We know that. So I just think if he can do what he did for Tannehill for Matt Ryan, that team will be good. I just don't know about the defense. The defense hasn't been good in a long time. It was good for like 1 or 2 seasons under Dan Quinn. I don't know. I think you need to blow that whole thing up. I think you need to get rid of Julio. I think you need to get rid of Matt Ryan. I think you need to trade everyone and honestly just start over. But I don't think Arthur Blank's that kind of guy. I don't think he's going to just give up. I think he really likes those guys. So, Deshaun Watson news. So we talked a little bit about the Jets and how the Jets, how people saying that the Jets are like his number 1 option. No, they're not. No, they're not. That's a bunch of people in New York that have been sad since Joe Namath retired and are like, Deshaun. How? The second pick, Sam Darnold, like literally everything. He's not going to New York. First of all, why? Why we go to New York? It's one of the worst teams in the last 50 years. They haven't been good. Like, they were good with Rex Ryan. But before that, they sucked too. They always sucked. And now all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, because it's a big market, because it's the Jets, which literally doesn't matter. I don't get why people think they have this historic background. They don't. And on top of it, I got to go play for a franchise whose owner has been had several issues with players in the past. Their general manager, I like Joe Douglas, but I just don't think that anyone wants to go to the Jets. I don't think Sam Darnold wants to be on the Jets. But Adam Gase didn't want to be on the Jets. He was the coach. It was like when they were like, oh, you're done? He was like, yeah, dude, I want to be done. I'm out of here, dude. I'm going to go coach for Bama and get another head coaching job in 2 years. That's what happens with all those guys. It's so annoying. But I just don't think Deshaun goes there. I think Deshaun would be, and these are my dream scenarios. Deshaun would be filthy on the Niners. Deshaun would be filthy on the Colts. It would be so much fun to watch him on either of those 2 teams because not only do they have weapons, but they have defense and they have good coaches. And I just think those would be 2 really fun teams to watch him on. Especially with Kyle Shanahan. I think we'd get so interesting with Kyle Shanahan. We'd see plays I don't think we've ever seen before, and that's something I'm really interested in. Because Shanahan's only ever had really Matt Ryan and Jimmy Garoppolo, 2 of the most immobile quarterbacks in the NFL. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Bears QB situation, though. Dude, I feel for you. I feel really bad. The Bears haven't had a quarterback ever. You've had a guy suit up, have a name, have a number, be listed as that position, and you've still never had a quarterback on your team. Jim McMahon is your best quarterback of all time, and the most famous thing he is for, the thing he's most famous for is a headband. And it's not your fault. you guys have good defenses almost every year, but at this point, it's just like, how are you not drafting a quarterback first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round? Just draft 7 quarterbacks. One of them will be good. At this point, you've drafted so many quarterbacks. Just do it 1 year. Just 1 year, draft only quarterbacks. Then, like, what are they going to do? Well, it's a dick move because now we're all stuck in this roster. Well, screw you. Like, it's my team, and I get to draft who I want. Like, if you've had this many problems with quarterbacks, just only draft quarterbacks. It's the most important position. You could have, and you have this great team around you, and you've literally gone all in on every other position. You traded for Mac. You went and got Allen Robinson. You did all these things. You re-signed Tariq Cohen. You did all these things except get a quarterback. And then the one, move to get a quarterback, Nick Foles, after he played like shit for the Jags, and we all knew that wasn't going to be good. Everyone knew that. And then you're like, oh, well, Matt Nagy's still a good coach. No, he's not. He's not a good coach. He's made mistake after mistake. Trubisky has talent. I don't think he's the guy at all, but I think he has talent, and he could be a serviceable player. He's very athletic. He's got some things that really excite me. But at a certain point, I think you need to just clear the table. I don't think you guys have really restarted in 10 years or 20 years since you guys went to the Super Bowl in 06. But I just don't think that without a quarterback, you're going to do that. You had Philly when you had Nick Foles, but Nick Foles was playing out of his mind. You had Trent. I think Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. You have Brad Johnson. You have some of these guys, but that's not happening anymore. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, the 4 guys in the championship games. 4 of probably the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. You need a quarterback to win. There's no way around it. In other news, Matt Patricia's back with the Patriots because he's one of their babies, and so how are you gonna let this guy fail? You obviously gotta get him a job again. It's ridiculous. The Patriots coaches, they leave. I swear, Belichick does not teach them anything, then allows them to get hired, and then when they get fired, he just brings them back on and still never teaches them anything. He's doing it to literally ruin the rest of the league. There's no other. Brian Flores is the only good coach. None of them have been successful. Josh McDaniels, Joe Judge. I mean, maybe Joe Judge hasn't been successful. Matt Patricia. All these guys suck. And so, there's a pattern. So don't hire those guys. I mean, the Texans already hired Nick Caserio, so good luck with that. But they're messing their own way. All right, we're going to talk about the best game of today. Packers Bucks. No matter what you tell me, this was the best game of today because Aaron Rodgers played out of his mind and still lost. And that, for me, is just pure ecstasy. Just watching him just scream at the refs and literally screaming so loud that the mask is lifting off his face is just pure joy for me. They had some drops, but I just think Matt LaFleur, made a lot of mistakes. I think you kick that, you punt, or you kick that field goal on 4th down, and you're 4th and goal with 3 minutes left. And yeah, you have 3 timeouts, but you haven't gotten a lot of stops. And yeah, you've gotten some picks because Tom didn't throw super great all day. But you guys, Kevin King has been a liability in coverage all day. At some point, you're looking at this and you're like, dude, you have to go for it. And he just didn't. And I think, and at the end of the first half too, when Tom Brady throws that touchdown to Scotty Miller, you're using single high safety coverage. How? And if you don't know what single high safety coverage is, it's basically on the last play of the game, on the last play of the half, which if you're running any play, it's all goes. Literally, that's it. It's just run down the field and go catch it. Single high safety means you only have 1 guy at the last line of defense instead of 2. That's a huge problem. How do you run single high in that scenario? It's like when freaking Greg Williams brought the freaking Heat on the last play of the game and gave him a Hail Mary. It was oh, it's crazy. Scotty Miller beat us deep. It's yeah, man, you had no one back there covering. What did you think was going to happen? It's one of the worst defensive calls. It's probably one of the worst defensive calls in playoff history. That's the thing that scares me. It looked bad. The Bucks too, they had 2 forced turnovers or 3 forced turnovers. out of the 7 forced turnovers they had coming into this, like into the first half of that game, they scored off 6 of them. So the Bucs defense is very good. They were out. I think it was Sean Murphy Bunting went out, and then I think Antoine Winfield didn't play today. So that was something where I was like, oh, I don't know if that defense is going to be solid fit because those guys are very important. But I think that defense played well enough to where in the end of the game, I think Tom Brady just had to manage. Tom Brady has some good throws. He made some good throws too. I'm not going to say nothing he did was good. But there were some throws where you're just like, he's sailing it, and watching it in your head, you're thinking, when he goes and plays the Chiefs, like, you can't do that. You like that can't happen. So I was blown away because at the age of 43 years old, Tom Brady's going to his 7th Super Bowl. Dude, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hadn't made the playoffs in like 15 years. And then Tom Brady joined the team and took them to the Super Bowl in his first year. At 43. What? I was screaming in my house, not even because of a play, because I was still so blown away. Also, don't ever compare yourself to Tom Brady because you're just going to feel like shit about yourself. And that's how I felt after realizing Tom Brady at 43 went to the Super Bowl with another team that he's only played with for 1 season. That's incredible. With the COVID offseason too, it's a testament to how incredibly talented Tom Brady is. And honestly, it kind of makes you think, and Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, but it does make you think, how much was Belichick and how much was Brady? And I hate having that conversation because obviously it's a team effort game, and one player wins games. But that's a very valid question at this point. Was Tom Brady so good at what he did that he was also coaching, which is he is now. Like Bruce Arians said, I even let him do whatever he does. Bruce is drunk on the sidelines anyway, so that guy loves his drinks. But I guess Tom Brady's coaching over there. So when you let Tom Brady coach and you win, what does that tell you? Let the guy coach. So I feel like the disconnect between him and Belichick with that, Brady knew certain things. He's like, this is what we need. And Belichick was numbers and cap space and all that stuff. And still one of the best coaches of all time, but you just let a quarterback go who was only really asking for $25 million and still was playing like a top 5 quarterback. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think, and I get that at some point you're going to have to rebuild and maybe, Bill Belichick retools and they go amazing, whatever. But I think it's just such a testament to Tom Brady's intensity, his focus, his strength, and his will to be amazing, how good this guy is. But for the most part, this game was supposed to be done within the first half. Like Tom Brady, I thought they were going to get blown out, and I could not believe how well they matched up. So after watching Tom Brady throw 3 picks, Tom Brady did not play well today. He threw 3 picks. Like he didn't look great. He had some balls that tipped off fingers and stuff like that. But he's going to the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers isn't. So fuck the Packers. Tom Brady's going back to the Super Bowl, man. All right. Go to the Chiefs-Bills game. This game was kind of disappointing. I think what this game kind of showed for the Chiefs, and I think for the Bills too, I think it showed that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. I know, like last week, I was talking about, I think in 2 years, Josh Allen will be, but I was seeing throws from Patrick Mahomes that you shouldn't be able to make some of these throws. So he had a play where he was being sacked, and he threw it not only sidearm, but underarm, sidearm, and completed Travis Kelce for like 11 yards and a first down. When you're watching this play and you're looking at it like, if you can do that, it takes your team to such a different level, because in situations where you should not be able to make a play happen, like looking at it logically, this play should be dead. You still have to be scared that he's going to just chuck it behind his back and over his head and with his foot and just absolutely complete a pass. And I think what it showed for Josh Allen is that he's still really young. Josh Allen's super young. He had that pick. He didn't complete a lot of his passes today. He didn't play horribly, don't get me wrong, but he did look flustered. He looked like, he looked scared a little bit, maybe nervous, which I could get. You're in the AFC Championship, and you're playing Patrick Mahomes. You're playing the best quarterback in the league. Patrick Mahomes' turf toe looks like, though, it's not affecting him at all. It's not affecting him. He's got apparently some like really strong, foot sole that apparently is made out of carbon fiber and apparently makes him Iron Man. I don't know. Tyreek Hill had 172 yards. Travis Kelce had 118 yards. I think if either of those guys go over 100 yards, how do you expect to win? And it just looked like these guys were open all night. Like you'd see them catch the ball, and there's no one within 10 feet. And especially when the Bills defense wasn't playing great, but they were wide open. They were wide open. And I think that's the difference between the Chiefs and every other team is that these two weapons they have are the best players at those two positions. So Travis Kelce at tight end is the best player in the NFL at catching passes from the tight end position. That's not an argument. That's just a fact. And then Tyreek Hill is, dude, he's just different. Like, he's so quick, so fast. And he's not, like the best at everything, but his separation is so different than any other receiver or anything that a cornerback has to adjust. And I think, honestly, at this point, I see a lot of cornerbacks backing off, but that's a problem too because he's just going to hit the brakes, and you're already going to be 5 yards off the ball, and he's just going to burn you that way. And so I don't know what you're supposed to do to guard that. After watching that Bills defense struggle against them for that whole game, there's no defense. But they're just on a totally different level. But the thing is, I think it is kind of crazy and ironic that Patrick Mahomes, who we're calling probably the best quarterback of all time, like pure talent-wise, which I've heard a lot of people say that, versus Tom Brady, 6-time Super Bowl champion, Tom Brady, 43 years old, Tom Brady.
Legacy world.
Yeah, Tom Brady taking the Bucs to the Super Bowl, which is insane.
I told you were crazy, man.
Yeah, he's just
about Mahomes not being better than.
Well, I think pure talent-wise, dude, just the way. But Tom's just his mentality, his mindset is so different and so focused on just straight winning football games. That's it. He's just I want to win every football game that I possibly can. Which is, you get a lot of players like that, but no one does it like Brady. It's his resume speaks for himself. I feel really bad for Josh Allen. He looked really scared. I do think he's going to mature a lot, but after what I saw today, I still think he's going to be a great quarterback. He is a great quarterback, but I don't see him ever being Mahomes. After watching that game, I said that last week that I think he'll be the best quarterback. I just don't think he's going to be able to make the throws Mahomes makes. And he does make some of them. I think a few quarterbacks make some of them. I think Stafford can make them. I think Rodgers can make them. I think, Deshaun can make them, Josh Allen. But no one does it consistently like Mahomes. And the Bills just didn't have an answer for that. So, sorry, Bills Mafia. I love Josh Allen. I'm a huge fan. But it looks like the Chiefs are going to be going to their second Super Bowl in 2 years. And get ready for the Chiefs to be the next Patriots because this is going to be absolutely miserable if you play in the AFC for the next, 5-10 years. I just don't see anyone being able to challenge them. I mean, unless Herbert just goes off and absolutely destroys them, and Brandon Staley, the new head coach for the Chargers, just comes in as an absolute beast, which I think is possible. I just think the Chiefs are going to be the best team for a long time. So we're going to move on to a few different teams that I wanted to talk about that I think were kind of interesting. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Pittsburgh signing Dwayne Haskins. That's a horrible signing. That guy might have talent. I don't know. He might have tons of talent. Obviously he was very talented coming out of Ohio State and all that, and that's it. But that's it. He's done nothing since. I don't think he's even shown flashes. He's been just awful. And on top of it, his decision-making off the field has been terrible. So what does that do? Bringing him into this team's had several issues in the past. I'm not saying anyone on the roster now has those issues with, being a drama queen, having an ego, but you've had several issues in the past, and you bring in a guy that literally was at a strip club, and okay, there's a strip club, but I care the fact that he was supposed to be at the game, then he was at the game the day before, and then he's at the strip club after losing the game. Care about that? The kid's obviously very mature, and I can't say I don't hold it against him because I definitely do. I wouldn't want that guy on my team. So I think that's a bad move. I think they're trying to replace Ben, but I don't think Dwayne Haskins is even close to the answer. So I don't know what you're doing with that. I guess it's a low risk flyer, but I don't see any benefit. The Cardinals, you need to fire Cliff Kingsbury. He is not a good coach. That's apparent. Like, he had so many bad late game decision making. Kyler Murray is the only reason you guys won 8 games. And I just think Cliff Kingsbury, he's literally never succeeded at any level. Like, he's had a few good seasons as a college coach, but other than that, like, he had a lot of bad seasons as a college coach. And now he went 8-8 with the Cardinals, and you guys should have gone at least 10-6. So that would really concern me going into next season. That would really scare me. New Orleans, you guys are $99 million over the cap. With Drew Brees, what do you get, like $30 million back? But you're still $66 million over the cap, or $69 million over the cap. That's insane. That's a lot of money. You're going to cut half your team just to get under the cap, and then on top of it, you have a gadget quarterback starting on the center. So I don't know where you're going with that, but it doesn't seem like you guys have an answer under center, which really sucks because that defense is awesome. Sean Payton's a great coach, but unless they get someone in there, I see it as a big issue. We're going to talk about the Washington football team too. The Washington football team cut their first round pick after 2 years. Alex Smith came back after having an IED go off in his kneecap. Trey Lance, I would love to see. I think Trey Lance is so underrated. That guy can just sling the ball over the field. He's highly athletic. He's a runner. He's a thrower. And I know he went to North Dakota State, which seems like a lower level competition, but he was recruited by D1 programs too, but just not as a quarterback. He was recruited as an athlete. So he's obviously very talented. He's got a ton of athleticism. He's extremely smart. In his first season as a starter, he threw no picks. He threw 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I don't care what level you're at. That's impressive. He had that one game this season that they were only able to play one game because of D2 football, and he didn't play that well. But I think he's going to be really good. I think, if he doesn't fall that far, I hope the Lions take him. I just really hope we don't take Kyle Trask or Zach Wilson right now. That's the only thing I'm hoping for. Other news in the NFL, I think apparently Jared Goff and Sean McVay are getting after it and getting into it. So I think that marriage is headed for a bad divorce. So I think the Rams are going to be in a really bad spot maybe in like a year, but I think Sean McVay, Les Snead know what they're doing, so I think you guys will be back in a year. Just to kind of wrap it up, guys. Bills lost today. It's sad. Bills Mafia, I feel for you, but this is a lot farther than you've been in a long time. I'm not here to celebrate a loss, but I am here to celebrate how good of a season you guys had. Tom Brady's literally Thanos. Like, he's unstoppable. He's like, it's like when an immovable object meets, an unstoppable force, Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. Honestly, this is might be one of the best Super Bowls of all time, but it might also be a blowout. So I'm excited either way. Guys, thank you again for listening to another episode of Armchair Coaches. I'll see you again next week.